In this video, I'd like to give a brief summary of my 2-year experience here in Cambodia doing missionary work. And I'd like to focus on 3 distinct areas. The first area would be what were my duties here in Cambodia. My second area will be where I learned from my 2-year experience here in Cambodia. And the last area will be what's next after Cambodia. Focusing on the activities I engaged in here in Cambodia, they really need to be broken in between the activities that occurred prior to the coronavirus and activities that occurred during the coronavirus. So from 2018, August 2018 through March 2020, my activities here in Cambodia were quite varied and diverse. There was lots of teaching, both teaching English and also teaching graduate courses in economics. And even though those courses were labeled English and economics, the objective was to promote Christ, to have discussions, to introduce people to the cause of Christ. In addition to teaching, I was also fortunate to be involved in a lot of mission activities to the various provinces. Sometimes those missions involved doing medical missions, and sometimes the missions involved introducing local villagers to Christ, many of whom had never heard of Christ. So it was a tremendous honor to be one of the first persons to introduce some people to Christ. There was also lots of activity involving working at the church, being involved in prayer meetings, leading prayer meetings, being involved in the formal worship service on Sundays, sometimes having a significant role in the worship services. I also began doing a lot of distribution of gospel tracts. It started initially distributing gospel tracts in a vicinity close to where I lived. So that kind of was the main things I did during the time period prior to Corona. It was a very busy time, sometimes going 6-7 days a week, all about trying to promote the cause of Christ. Now when the Corona set in March of 2020, the teaching stopped, the ability to worship at church stopped, and so what was left was the distribution of gospel tracts, which increased in terms of intensity, and also I was able to become involved in a ministry work to witness to the lost who were engaged in activities, shall we say, that were not Christ-like. And so that activity really gave me an opportunity to grow in terms of my faith and also to show compassion to others, because God desires that no one be lost. And so when the opportunity to witness to those who were doing anything but stuff that was Christ-like, I was grateful for the opportunity. So what did I learn from my 2 years here in Cambodia? Well, there are many things I learned, and I'll try to be brief and just give a few areas where I grew. One area was knowing the importance of living by faith. You know, I came from the United States where I had a very comfortable and convenient life, and I left all those comforts and convenience behind, and it enabled me to see that God was in control much more clearly. So I now live from day to day just trusting Him, knowing that He will make a way. And so that part of my life is really a tremendous blessing, that I live by faith. I don't worry about things that I used to worry about. I just try and work in His service. Another interesting thing I learned is that when it comes to ministry work, mission work has to be very creative. There isn't a one approach to every missionary opportunity. You have to be, it depends on the environment, it depends on the people, it depends on so many factors. And so I've learned that I just try to listen to the Spirit and do what the Spirit suggests I do in terms of pushing the cause of Christ. And sometimes perhaps that involves doing things that would be considered non-conventional. Another thing I've learned is just the importance of loving people. Like in the ministry work I mentioned earlier, a lot of the persons that I interacted with simply just needed a word of encouragement. They needed to feel that their lives mattered. And so, just listening, someone to just listen to them. And by listening to them, it sometimes presents opportunities to share the cause of Christ. So I learned the importance of just loving people. As the Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13, you have faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. And I can testify that love is so important. It opens so many doors and creates so many opportunities. So what's next for me? Well, in a couple days I'll be leaving Cambodia, and the next stop for me is the country of Belize. I'm trying to follow obediently the blueprint I was given when I received my calling, and so the next stop is the country of Belize to serve there. Now, of course, the coronavirus has created some challenges for me, but those challenges are not challenges that are a problem for God. So I just have to be patient, wait on Him to open the door, and once He opens the door, I will not hesitate to go and serve. Whether serving means sharing, teaching young people English, whether it means engaging in discussions with graduate students, whether it means just sitting on a bench listening to someone tell you about activities of their life. All those things I think are important, particularly if the objective is to advance God's kingdom. So I have been blessed by my time here in Cambodia. I've grown as a person. I have grown tremendously in my faith. I have relinquished control of my life to God, to just let Him take control, and I just stay out of the way. And so I'm excited about the beginning of the next leg of this journey. But I do ask your prayers and that you pray for me so that I can grow and develop and be a good representative of Christ as I continue to serve in His service. So until next time, take care and God bless.